Hey, great, excellent. Welcome, 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 everyone. This is Denise Sutton, and we are here in the room. I came on maybe a couple of seconds earlier just to make sure everything was lined up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. Welcome to Video Presence Made Easy Overview. And my name is Denise Sutton, and you are in the Facebook private group, so you get direct access to me and what I'm about to share. Denise Sutton, I've been in the video production business for well over 25 years now. I went to college for television and radio. I have my degree from Brooklyn College, and I've been producing, directing, doing all sorts of things in that arena for that long of a span of a time. And with that, I have created my own show called Can We Talk Television. I have helped others create their own indie shows. I've helped other people create their own vlogs and podcasts. And now, with the birth of This Is My Testimony, vlog or podcast or vodcast, whatever you want to call it, this is where I am now. And I wanted to share with you because this is a time and season where, with the influx of AI, which is rapidly changing, everybody is on the blog and the vlog and the podcast arena. Everyone is doing it. But there are those that are Christ centered that also have messages to get out. And doing podcasts is another way for you to get the message about Jesus Christ out to the world. This is my testimony, is my baby. It is a global movement. I do believe, God, that it is a global movement. And this is my testimony was birthed out of sickness. It was birthed out of coming and drawing closer to the Lord. And with that, the Lord has allowed me to use what I've already had, the skills I already had, to use those same skills to teach others how they too can capture their story. They too can share with the nations what God has done for them in their lives and how we can compel other ones to get to know Christ for themselves. So, welcome, welcome, welcome all to Video Presence Made Easy Overview. Welcome. And let's get right into it. I'm going to take you to the presentation. Let's start from slide one. Hey, that's Video Presence Made Easy. And this is just giving you a compilation of what you're going to get from and gain from this overview. It's just an overview. You will learn the basics of the 3 Ps. If you've ever taken Video Presence Made Easy or have seen this presentation that I've given in the past, the 3 Ps we definitely discuss. I also want to share how I use the 3 Ps to get my show my show, which is called This Is My Testimony, to a spot where I am now doing my own podcast or vodcast, as it is also known as, on YouTube, on Rumble, and soon I am taking it to a international streaming network. Okay? I went from dealing with sickness, writing a book, from writing a book to doing a podcast where not only I, but other people are now sharing their testimony of things that the Lord has done in their lives, right? And that alone is amazing. And everybody is out there. I mean, there's some well known podcasts. Mine's is still up and coming, but there's some well known podcasts from people who have been working for years vlogging, people who have been working for years blogging, people have been working for years, like myself, with their own indie project television shows, right? Um, my baby, which is Can We Talk Television, has been on and is still on community access television in Brooklyn, in Manhattan. It has been featured on several streaming networks that air across the nation. And now I've created this new baby. This is my testimony, where it's not just me, but tons and tons of other people, tons and tons of Christians who are sharing their testimony of what God has done, the transformation power of the Lord when we surrender and when we submit and when we walk by faith and not by sight in the things of God. So, right now, we are going to go back to the slide. I'm taking us on a journey today. I just shared with you a little bit about my background with why I created This Is My Testimony. And now we're going to go into the journey of the three P's. I'm going to discuss what is podcast. And then I'm going to talk about investing in yourself, the platforms you can use. If you are new to this and if you want to start something, the Lord has impressed upon you to start something now, to share how you can go about doing it, starting off small and then increasing as you go ahead. So, the three P's and how do they work? And the testimony of my three P's journey, I will give you as well. So, what are the three P's? Those that have returned, you already know what those three P's are, don't you? They are the three components or part of a final product or production, and they consist of the pre-production portion, the production portion, which is to me the quickest part of the production, and then the post-production. So for me, the pre-production and the post-production portions of creating a final product or a production, which is maybe a complete episode of a podcast or a television show that you're marketing to a streaming channel, right? To me, the pre production and the post production are the most tedious, time consuming. And then the production for me, this I'm just speaking for me. This is Denise. The production part for me is the easiest part, but that's just me. And you may see it a little differently. We're going to go into pre production. I what it includes. So here you have a list of things that go into a pre-production. And like I said, for me, pre-production and post-production were the most tedious or time consuming. Um, I'm just speaking for me with This Is My Testimony. So after I wrote the book, This Is My Testimony, When Death Whispers Shout Out Live, I knew that there were so many others that had amazing testimonies. And I was getting so much feedback from people who read the book and was like, oh, Denise, I didn't know you went through that. You know, I have a similar situation, or I want to share the book with a friend of mine who's going through something similar, or, you know, there's an amazing woman or amazing man who's gone through this, or there's a couple and they are fighting and or have battled or come against this drug addiction, and now they have their own ministry. So people are coming to me, and I'm like, well, do you want to share your testimony? And they're like, oh, yeah, sure. And then sometimes when I say, well, are you willing to do it live on camera for the world to see? And then they think about it or pause for a second, and they will say, you know what? Yes, yes, I'm ready to do that. And with that has birthed This Is My Testimony. the podcast. And it has been a whirlwind. I've just completed season one. Season one consists for me 7 episodes, and I will start season two in the first week of July. And I've already started interviewing people for season three. So that is how this is going. It is amazing. There are so many people, and I'm not talking about just the United States, but throughout the world. There are countries throughout the world that have testimonies of amazing things that God has done in their lives, transformed their lives, and they are willing to share it. And with my pre production phase, I went through, first of all, the Lord gave me the concept of how to do it. And I was like, okay, He wanted a docu style where each person individually had to come on, share their name, give their testimony, and then share their name, but with their titles, if they choose to add them at the end to show that they have overcome. And even after we have taped, sometimes me and that individual will have breakthrough moments. We will have rejoicing moments. We'll have breakdown of prayer moments where they get to pour out all of the angst, pour out of themselves all that they have built up. And it is a beautiful thing to experience for me as a producer, right? And of course, I had to be the first partaker. So, with this, pre production includes writing the script for your production. It requires storyboarding, and I teach a class called Storyboarding One on One. Some of you may have attended that. If you have not, you have to get on board. I will also be offering some other trainings coming soon. So, it's coming, y'all. It's coming. Even an intensive course. That's going to be my ticket item that will lead you to create your own production. So get ready. Get ready to show your production. Get your concept together and let's go. Okay. And even with production, pre production, oh, hmm, why isn't it not live? I wonder why it's not live. What is going on? Ah, hmm, where is my. I'm sorry, y'all. Uh, okay. I'm trying to figure out where is the the slides because I'm showing the slides on my end, but I don't see them on your end. Let me see. Perhaps it's a delay. No, I don't see your slides. Ah, you're live now. Okay. Hey, everyone. I've been recording all of this time and not realizing I didn't go live on Facebook. Please forgive me. And let me just test one more thing before I go any further because I don't think you see the slides. Do you see the slides? Where are the slides? Where's the slide? I need you to see the slides that I'm going over. I'm going over the slides and I don't see them on the screen. No bueno. That's not good. I need you to see the slides on the screen. That is the point. That is the point. Okay, let me see. What else is open that they need me to close? Hmm. Please forgive me. I'm just trying to figure out what's the issue. Mm-mm. Okay. Uh, interactivity. Okay. I see myself. Hey, but I need you to see the slides that I am sharing. But it is not coming up. Mm, hmm. Okay, I see myself. Please bear with me. Hopefully, we'll get this figured out sooner rather than later. I am live on that application and I'm going to add this back to Studio. And do I see it on here? No, I do not see it on Facebook. Hmm. Hmm. But in the other studio, I see it, but I do not see it in this studio. And that is a problem because I'm talking about this stuff, yet you do not see what I'm talking about. No bueno. No bueno. Okay. Hi. Hi, Sister Claudette. I want to show the I want to show the slides. And this is a problem. Oh gosh. Okay, so let's just go with I'm gonna have to add the slides. However, this is an issue. I use StreamYard um, in order to engage my audience. And this is another tool that you can use in Video Presence Made Easy. Um, I'm surprised that it's not coming through. Hmm. Let me see. Let me see if that comes through. No. Ah, they did, huh? So how do I add this? Okay. Okay. That's too low. Okay. Current comments. Okay. All right. I will have to upload, but that's not the point. Well, let me just talk about or talk through because since this is not working for me, I don't know why. In the past, I had no issues with just uploading and sharing. Uh, Mm, 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 mm. Well, as I said earlier, I don't know if you caught it, but I was talking about the three P's in my journey. I'm going to talk about what is podcast and vodcast and investing in yourself, right? So I started This Is My Testimony last year when I wrote the book, and then this year published the book. And from birth from that came This Is My Testimony, the podcast. And with that, um, I've been getting questions about, well, Denise, how do I start my own? Or people want to do their own thing. And I understand it. And I just, as 25 years in this industry of video production, I have helped other people create their own streaming channel, their own stream show, their own blog, their own podcast. And it can start off with simple techniques. You don't need a lot of money. And with the age of AI and it's advancing so much, there are things that people can do like as a snap, because they're crafting and they're creating these AI agents, and the AI agents are doing everything for them. However, you're losing the essence of how to actually create a production from the beginning to the end. Yes, by all means, if you choose to use those tools, use them. I use them sparingly if I'm creating something or I need something really quick. But the best teacher is to know how to do hands on yourself, right? So I go through the three P's: the pre production, production, and post production. And as I stated earlier, for me, pre production and post production are the hardest because it requires so much. But production to me is the easiest part, because that's when you're actually sitting in front of the camera and you're videotaping you have your guest if you choose to have guests, or it's you alone talking, and you go ahead and you do, boom, it's done. You may have to do some takeaways, some segues, some intros and outros, but other than that, production is like boom, it can be done in simple, in a couple of hours it can be done. Now, the pre-production and the post-production, that takes more skill, and that takes a lot more time and energy. So, with that, sorry, with that, I'm going to go to the next slide, which you cannot see. I talk about my I was talking about my 3P journey, because when I first had the concept for This Is My Testimony, the book, and then the Lord realized, I had to realize that the Lord wanted me to now then produce where other people have their opportunity to share their testimony, to reach people, to reach souls, right? We have to share what the Lord has done in our lives. And so many times we hold back, or we wait and don't share. And that can be a soul that can be going through the same thing, or prevent a soul from going through the same thing that you may have gone through. And give them the necessary tools to show them, look, you got to rely on the Lord, and why it's important to develop a relationship. So, in pre production, that's when you will do all of the writing. You got to write your script, get your concept of what you want, even talk out or flush out your concept of what you want to create on paper. Just start writing. And storyboarding is also a part of that. And I teach storyboarding one on one. It's basically setting up illustrations, like you may get a piece of paper, or a series of papers, right? And you would actually illustrate on the papers what you would like for your production to look like. Then you want to make a list of all the supplies you may need to complete your project. You may need papers and things of that nature. For instance, I like to keep things like this. I know a lot of people stay away from paper. You can also do it digital as well, but I like to keep calendars, and I like to keep notebooks, right? That you can write those things down, whether it's phone numbers, people that your guests that you may have to contact, and schedule with them the times that you want them to come, or the times you set up for them to come and interview them, or come to the studio, or y'all have a dialogue. You may want to set up your camera. If you're going to use camera, you got to decide about lighting. So you may want to get yourself a lighting kit. You may want to get yourself a little portable microphone. There are things, there are all kinds of things that you can purchase on Amazon, or you can purchase at any type of audio visual supply store that can help you with your production. And a lot of these are inexpensive, they're not too pricey. And it's important to know what supplies you need to create whatever it is that you're trying to create. And also, you may want to, during the time of pre production, you want to look into other things. If you want to set up questions, you want to set those questions up ahead of time. So sit down and really think about what you want to say, or instructions you want to give somebody who may be a guest. And also, I always stress that you need to rehearse prior to doing any type of production, and that's part of post pre-production. In production, as I talked about it, that's the fun stuff. That's when your guests and your hosts come up. You set up you have your crew ready. If you require a crew to help you with certain things, maybe you'll have somebody doing the camera operating, or the lighting, setting it up, and you're testing the equipment to make sure everything is pristine and everything is working. You want to check your makeup and all of that stuff. And then you start taping or filming. And you even do your segues, your intros, your outros. All of those things are part of the production portion, right? And then we go into post production. Now, post production, also, that's when you collect all of the footage, you collect all of the questions, the names of the people, make sure the names are spelled correctly, and you start editing. And there are editing softwares out there that can help you to create fabulous works. You don't have to go out and spend thousands of dollars, but as you go along and as you become more advanced, you may want to invest some money into those things. And of course, you may have to do a voiceover or sound effects. All of that stuff is done in the post production portion of your project or of your podcast. And then I go over on camera techniques, right? So, with podcasting and podcasting, these two entities are very, very much, hmm, they're very, very much highly used now. They're very highly used. Okay, I don't know what that means, but I'm gonna leave that alone. Hmm. And with that, you have what I like to call tools that you can, techniques and tools. And these are things that you can use to make and think about when you are setting up whatever production you're setting up. You want to make sure when you're on camera to make eye contact with your audience or with the camera, like I am right now. I'm looking directly into my little camera up here, and you want to make eye contact with your audience. If you're in a group setting, if you're in a studio and there are people, you have a live audience, for instance, you want to make sure you make eye contact with people in the audience. You want to pace yourself. Don't go too fast, and don't drag it out and go way, way, way too slow. But you want to pace yourself, and that everyone understands exactly what you're trying to communicate with them effectively. And of course, you want to emphasize and project your voice so that you're not talking too soft, you're not rushing your words, and your words become garbled, but you are projecting and properly executing what you want to convey to your audience. And I always stress this a lot of times, especially when we're nervous, right? I'm also a member of Toastmasters International, and this is one of the techniques that they teach us in that, not to apologize. If you mess up, it's okay. Sometimes we misspeak, or we'll say something that we didn't necessarily mean to say. And a lot of times people stop and say, "Oh, I'm sorry," or "I apologize." You don't have to do that. If the audience doesn't know you messed up, it's okay. Now, if it's something where you're quoting something, that's when you'll go, "You know what? That's not right." You don't have to come from a place where you misspoke or said something wrong, yet you're apologizing it because you're out of fear. You take authority over that and then correct the mistake and then keep on going, right? And of course, I ask people to pause 5 to 7 seconds before they even speak. And that gives time for the person, whomever is recording it, to catch up, because that's going to be necessary when you edit, to edit out those 5 to 7 seconds, but give enough leave lead time, enough lead time for the person to edit or splice the video for you. And these are some just basic things that people, sometimes we think about it and sometimes we don't. Proper grooming, right? Make sure your hair looks nice, your nails are together, perhaps some lotion or moisturize on your skin. If it's a man and you're bald, we always have men usually have a shine on their head. So they may need some powder. Yeah, women, we always carry those type of things, right? But men need powder too. So make sure you have some powder to dull down that shine for the men. And I always say that it's necessary to think about those little things, because those little things make a big difference when you're on camera. And so then I go about, what is a podcast? So I went to Wikipedia, and this is something that you all can do. Just go to Wikipedia and look up the definition of a podcast. And I went to Wikipedia, and the definition is, it is a digital audio or video program available on the internet. That's all it is. Now it says listeners can stream episodes, right? You can download, you can stream on demand, or subscribe to a feed to automatically download new releases for offline listening. So similar, when we listen to the radio and something, the announcer may say something, or the radio DJ or disc jockey may say something, we're like, what did he say? There's no way for us to go back, right? Unless they decide to repeat what they said. And with the digital or the video program, what you can do is, perhaps you missed something, you can always rewind it. And there are so many platforms that are now available for podcasting and vodcasting than before. So people may use, I don't know, YouTube, which is what my show is on. This is my testimonies on YouTube. But then there's so many other streaming or podcast companies popping up, or platforms popping up all over the world now. And then you have so many streaming networks that has also exploded over the past 7 to 10 years, right? In fact, I used to have my own streaming network, and I had to give that a break, but it was a great learning tool as to what goes in to having your own streaming network. It is a lot of work, and it does take a team. And don't think that you can do everything on your own. You will definitely need help, but you can do the simple stuff, the beginning stuff on your own. But at some point, you will need assistance. You will need somebody to help you along the way to get things in order. Now, the characteristics of a podcast or vodcast, it can be an episodic format, right? Like I said, episodes, you release a series, much like a television show, right? You have your traditional or your traditional radio program, you'll have seasons, right? Or series. It could be on demand, or it could be a video versus audio. So with podcasting and vodcasting, the vodcasting is the video and the podcasting is the audio. Now, you can take a vodcast or video, extract the audio, and it becomes a podcast. Or you can do both. So It's up in the air, but both of those can be done. Some people don't like being on camera, and I understand it. I get it. Some people are very shy, but they have the voice. They want to share whatever it is that is on their heart to share. So do a podcast where it's just the audio, but you would, of course, you have to create an intro and an outro, and then just be talking. It could be just talking heads, people talking and explaining and or sharing whatever it is that they want to share. And then we go into the types of podcasts. There's the interview style, there's a conversational style, and the solo monologue style, and the narrative storytelling style. And if you've ever listened to vodcasts or podcasts, you can definitely distinct or tell the difference between the ones. The interviews, when a host is interviewing someone, of course. The conversationals, when the co-host is holding a relaxed kind of discussion with somebody else, like you're having a conversation with a friend or buddy, right? The solo monologue is a single person just talking, just like what I do with video. This is my testimony. It's a solo monologue. People are just sharing. There's nobody else but them and that's just them and the camera. And they're just talking into the camera and sharing whatever they have to share what the Lord has given them. And then there's the narrative or the storytelling. There are some wonderful storytellers. And just to sit and get captivated by someone who can give an effective storytelling, there's nothing telling a story, there's nothing like that. I love storytelling. It, it, it listen, I think the best story, and this is just me personally, is when I listen to the audio Bible. Yeah, the storytelling, I can hear the inflection of the different characters' voices. I can even hear the sound effects when you have it. You can add all of that stuff when you do a podcast. You can add the background noise. Maybe it's a horse talking or a horse, making that noise. All of that stuff is perfect when you are creating or sharing a story. It just brings everything to life as if that the things are happening right in front of you, right? And this is just one point I would like to stress, that you got to have confidence, right? If you want to move forward with creating your own podcast or your podcast, you got to have confidence. You have to put fear aside and doubt and just do what God has told you to do. And it's important to also accept constructive criticism. It's used to help you build yourself up and to get you to the next level. It's not to tear you down. There's a difference between constructive criticism and just downright nasty criticism to tear you down. The point is to build you up and not to tear one down. That's just my little tidbit or my little pointer. And then I get into invest in yourself. It is important to invest in yourself. There's so many platforms that you can use. As I said, things are changing rapidly, and there's editing softwares. There's I use Canva sometimes to edit. Yeah, I have a paid subscription of Canva. You can even use StreamYard, like I use StreamYard now. StreamYard is used to do some editing. You can create shorts on StreamYard. You can create something simple like on Movie Maker. I think some computers, whether you have a Mac or PC, you may have Movie Maker, or on the Mac, there is also another type of editing software that comes with the laptop. Try using those. You create your timeline, you add your sequences, you add your takes and all of that stuff, and it's pretty simple if you take the time and just sit. And if you need help, of course, there are people that can help you. Or you can even go on YouTube. Listen, YouTube is the best helper with a lot of things now. It's helped a lot of people, especially those that are novices and learning how to do certain things. Watch a course on editing, right? And get the basics so that you can then play around with it and then see what you can come up with. And of course, you can even tape in your own home. That's the best teacher. Or you can go out in the streets. You can take some shots, some scenic views, perhaps of the landscape. Perhaps go to the beach, which is one of my favorite places to go, and just take some snapshots or some little videos to add to your clips or to add to your intro and your outro as you create your openings and your closings. And then I'm going into, for beginners, I suggest you use free or AI options. Some examples are CapCut, Clipchamp, and InShot. Those are some that you can use. For editing software, I use Adobe Premiere Pro, and then there's some others such as Final Cut Pro, and there's something called DaVinci Resolve. Now, they may come at a cost, so just be prepared for that, right? And then you have other things that you can do. You can subscribe to podcasts for free on many entities, and you can also sign up for things such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And I just added another one, which is called Rumble. This is my testimony is now on not only YouTube, but it's now on Rumble, which is another one that I learned about recently about. And you can also join some streaming channels. And I have all of this in my slides, which you cannot see. I apologize that you cannot see any of my slides as I go through it, but I will put that actually in this group. I'll put this in the group. And Denise Buckner, what do you like? I saw your spot and Mother Page. I see that. Okay, your name was added. Thank you, Sister Claudette. I appreciate you. Yes, pre-production, production, and post-production. Oh, I have to definitely add these slides so that you can actually peruse through them and see everything, because I have a list of various software, editing software, as an example. There's something called Splice, iMovie. You may have heard of iMovie. For those that have iMac, I think iMovie is the one that's used, and that might be free with iMacs or your Mac. There's something called Luma Fusion. There's something called Afterlight Video Editor, and of course, I mentioned Movie Maker. And when I first started off with editing, I used Movie Maker. Then I transitioned because even the software now, with editing software, AI has been introduced into these softwares, and they're so much quicker. The graphics are beautiful, but it's just a matter of taking your time to learn how they function, right? And then I have any questions. Are there any questions that you may have for me? I'm going to check back into Facebook now and see if there are any questions that are in the comments. You use StreamYard, yes, Denise, and YouTube, yep. Canva, yes. Canva. If you get a paid subscription to Canva, that's how I create the opening for This Is My Testimony. I use Canva, and it offers you, because Canva can be used for video. You can add video. There's so much you can do with Canva. And now Canva has an AI component to it, but you can create videos in Canva. And I have a paid subscription. I think it's like maybe 100 and something a year. I do the yearly plan instead of the monthly, but I think they give up both options. But Canva, you can do some editing there. I created the opening for This Is My Testimony using Canva. And yep, Canva has the capability. Now, not to go live, there's a difference. But for editing, if you wanted to create your own YouTube channel, you can create like your opening and your closing using Canva. You can create posters. You can create in Canva, you can create your YouTube banners and your YouTube posters and your Facebook posters and your Instagram posters. All of those things. And even if you use LinkedIn, you can create different things in LinkedIn for LinkedIn in Canva. Canva is expanding quickly. Just like Zoom has kicked off, there's so many things that you can do with Canva. But I also use, like I said, Adobe Premiere. And I have a very old version of Adobe Premiere. And I'm about to invest into a new laptop, not even a laptop, a desktop, which will give me more power and memory that I can get the new Adobe Premiere. So I'm looking forward to that. Sometimes you have to invest. I've invested over the years doing television and radio and going into the studio where they spend thousands upon thousands of dollars in community access television networks. In wherever you are in the world, in the United States, you may have your community access networks. Sometimes they offer free services where you can actually go there and they teach you how to work a camera. They teach you how to do a production from the nuts to the bolts. And then you have access to the free equipment. You have access to cameras. You have access to audio. You have access. And with that, you can go out and you can film your own things, create your own shows. That's how I started. I created my own, even though I have a television and radio background from college. After that, I couldn't afford $2,000 at that time to invest into purchasing a camera and a tripod and microphones and lighting kits. I had to do it by piecemeal. But what I would do is go to the community access, take the training, and then you rent out the equipment. And it's not like you pay a price. As long as you sign off that you take the equipment out and you bring it back without it being harmed or hurt, you're good. And then you have the benefits of having your production done, and then you have to just take care of your post production, which is your editing. And a lot of community based facilities offer editing services. So you can actually go into the building and edit as well for free. They give you a certain amount of time block, maybe 2, 3 hours, and you edit whatever you can within that time span. Sometimes you have to come back and sign in again for another 2, 3 hours, but at least they offer that, right? It's free to the communities. In our communities, there's a lot of free opportunities for us to create our own things. You just have to do your research in wherever you are and see what they offer. But they do offer those things. And it is important for us to get into it. Now, there are basic things, a lot of people, you can use your cell phone. Use your cell phone. You can do video on here. You can edit CapCut Pro. That's how I did some videos on Instagram. I downloaded CapCut Pro on my cell phone, and I may have taped the video and then I sat there, or pictures and video combo, sat there and opened up the app and just played around with it and looked at the different things they offer. They offer so many transitions and fade ins, fade outs, twirly things. You can add lower thirds. Lower thirds are basically when you add a title to something. You can add your lower thirds. There's so much that we have available to us that is not too expensive. I'm using right now, I have a ring light in front of me. I got that ring light from Amazon. I may have paid all of maybe $30 for it. I have, I love this. I have my trusty uh, mic here, right? I bought this a few years ago for podcasting, and I don't use it as often as I used to, but I have it, and I have the stand to go with it. So the stand was one price, and then the microphone was another. And I caught this on sale for like $60 around Christmas time. So check out Amazon. You can sometimes get these things at a discounted price, especially when they have their Prime days or it's the holiday time. Podcast tools, microphones, yes. And there are different types of microphones. There are different types of microphones they're the omnidirectional microphones that you need to know about. What's the difference between an omnidirectional versus a boom? They pick up certain various things. Depending on if you just want to do a one-on-one, this is something great for for podcasting. This is the Echo. I believe this, yeah, this microphone is the Echo. And of course, it has a USB where I can plug it right into my laptop. Audio is wonderful. I bought this years ago and it works phenomenal. If you've ever watched, I don't know if you ever watched certain podcasts on television, on YouTube. There's a couple of them that I watch um, on YouTube. There's a lady from London, um, a black lady from London, and she's a Christian, and she just recently got married. But she always has some fabulous tips. I watch her, and she does a solo, right? And she has this little microphone that looks like this, and she puts it on her collar, just like I can do this. And she speaks directly into it. And of course, this has a this is a XLR. So this is a male. When you see prongs like that, that's a male. They also have the ones that they do not have prongs in it. That's called a female. So there's male and female XLR microphone. Microphone, what you call these? Microphone wires. This is considered a male because it has prongs. And this would have to go into a female XLR piece similar to this, but it would have one that don't have prongs, or it would go plug directly into like your camera, and it would have the female where the prongs are inside. So this is a male, and it would have to go into a female to connect, and you can like plug this directly into your camera, right? So that you can the camera can pick up your audio. And then on the camera, do I have my huge camera around me? No, I don't. But with your camera, you can adjust the volume levels and balance. There's a lot of things that you can do with these professional cameras. I purchased my professional camera right before COVID, and I invested in it because I was getting tired of going into the free studio, the community access television studio, because you had to book time. It was time consuming. And then sometimes you had to lug the equipment, and you only had a certain amount of time to get it there and get it back. So I said, you know what? I'm going to take the time. So I saved up Echo microphone. Yes. Yes, sister. Yep. That's it. Go on Amazon, sis. That's on Amazon. And I ended up spending $2,000, but that was the best $2,000 I ever spent. That camera, I still have that camera today. I use that camera. Even when I don't use it for a long period of time, it's still there and it still works. And it takes these little tapes called SD, these little cartridges, which you can also get on Amazon if you have that type of camera. But like I said, the technology is so advanced. The cameras they have now, you don't even need little tapes. I remember when I first started in community access, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, Beta. I used Beta tapes, and these huge monstrosity tapes. That's what we used to tape on. And then we graduated from Beta to Super VHS tapes. And then we went from Super VHS tapes to these little high 8 tapes, like larger than a cassette tape. And then we went from high 8 to mini DVs tapes. And then we went from mini DVs to SD tapes. And now they don't even use tapes anymore. It's all digital. It goes right to the cloud. That's what they're doing now. But there's so many things you can use. Oh, Denise, you have a Mac. Yes, look into those options. iMovie, definitely you can use that software to edit. Podcast tools, microphones, cameras, light lamps. A lighting kit can cost you a couple of $100. I think I paid like $300 for my lighting kit. But the lighting kits now, the ones that I have, I would never get those again. But they cast a lot of heat. They draw a lot of heat, and they can be overpowering. But the newer ones, like the ring lights, they have ring lights, but they're bigger. They're more like a square, rectangle size, and it really illuminates. It doesn't cast out off a lot of heat. That's something you may want to invest in. I also invested in like a green screen. I have a round one. Like if you want to put your own banner or your own background behind you. Maybe you have a logo and you want to put your logo behind you instead of having like a curtain or, you know, background. That's another thing that we need to think about whenever we're taping. Think about your background. What's in your background? Sometimes a plant is visually appealing depending on what kind of emotion you want to convey to your audience. But definitely consider those things, okay? Again, this is Denise Sutton. You can reach me on Denise Sutton Consultant. I will have and will be offering an intensive course. Okay, this is my high ticket course. Again, I apologize that StreamYard is just not cooperating with me. And just like Sister Claudette said, they may have changed something that I'm not even, I mean, the slides are up, but they will not cast for some reason to Facebook. Mm, mm, mm. And that's so sad. Mm, 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 mm. That's so sad. Again, I'm Denise Sutton. You can reach me at info@nowachildproductions.com. My phone number, 929-341-0212. Of course, on Facebook, and you can reach me on Instagram if you would like. And I hope to hear from you soon. I will be offering more trainings. And once I figure out what's going on with StreamYard and this, then I'll get back to you. And I will actually I'll put the program, the deck in here in this group. Okay. All right. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Sister Claudette. Thank you, Sister Denise. Thank you, Mother Page. Thank you for anyone else who will catch this on their replay. I will add everything in there for you. If there's anything else that you want to know about, please don't hesitate to call me. Please don't hesitate to reach out and say, hey, Denise, what about blah, blah, blah? Okay. And we can discuss. All right. God bless and take care. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. All right. Bye bye.